Hello, I'm Alena Chapman, founder of Manifesto, and I had a question from someone which I'd like to answer. And the question was, what is ego and what is death of the ego? And I thought that would be great for everyone to know. Okay, the ego. What is the ego? Okay, excuse my notes, but I have the definition here. The dictionary, Merriam, I picked, says the ego serves as the organized conscious mediator between the person and reality, especially by functioning both in perception, which is our belief system, okay, that alters our perception, and adaptation to reality, the world. It's a sense of self built on our belief systems, which alter our perception of the world. And you can see that in so many ways. I mean, how one person looks at the world and how another person looks at the world is totally different. And the ego is not a bad thing, but it does give us a false sense of who we are. It gives us a false sense of our world. Now, with that, I am a spiritual curator, a spiritual thought leader, and a coach. And so what I do is I help you to tap into that wonderful, untainted, divinely led, and true self, the soul. So, in order to do that, do we have to have the death of the ego? Some would say yes. I don't necessarily agree. Now, if the ego is the mediator between the conscious and the subconscious, okay, as described by that definition, the job of the ego is to keep us into the beliefs, the comfort zone of what we are meant to be by society. You see, all our perceptions, all our ego in the Western world has been altered almost immediately. I don't know about the other worlds, but Western world definitely, because that's where I live, I see it. So what happens is when a child is born, and you can see it in babies and 1 and 2 year olds, they are full of just wanting to experience and taste and try. They're not altered by anything. You can tell them no 100 times, they still do it. If they don't want something, they let you know. If they fall, they get up and they walk again. Okay, they're on a mission. They know why they're here. They know they're supposed to try. They don't see failure, you know? Now, then all of a sudden, we start learning and we start growing and we go, that's called the I period in our chakra, our first chakra. It's the I. It's coming into this world as the soul, knowing our mission, knowing what we're here for, doing it. Then we start learning. No, Susie, you can't do that. And then we go to school, and that's where it really starts. Then we're with other children, and we have to learn how to get along in a society. We have to learn what is right and what is wrong in order to succeed in a society. In the Western, and probably in others, we have a whole system set up for us to learn outside of ourselves, to get approval from outside of ourselves. Someone else tells us our self-worth. If we don't get an A on something, we're not smart. If we misbehave, we're known as a troublemaker, or you're stubborn. We get labels put upon ourselves. We also look outside ourselves to hear how good we are or how bad we are. Everything is outside ourselves telling us who we are, what to believe, and what we're going to become. Okay? So our ego and our belief system is all built on all of something outside of ourselves. And then when we grow up, we're still looking for outside ourselves. We look for every problem, we look outside of ourselves to solve it. And that is how our society pretty much works. I have a friend who says, are you a consumer or are you a creator? Most of us are consumers. We look outside of ourselves to solve the problem. That's why we have so many victims. All of that is what is formed in our life as we are growing from 1 to 6 and even after. Now the ego as the mediator, when we decide we want to step out of that, the ego comes in and it says, wait a minute, you can't do that. And it draws upon the subconscious and what we've heard in the past. Are you crazy? You can't do that. And draws us back into the comfort zone, which is the zone that we learned of who we are, how we relate to the world according to what we were told as we were growing up. It's a neat little box. And the ego, well, Marianne Williamson says the ego is all about just defense, attack, and judgment. Well, that's what it uses. Yes, that's what it uses to keep you into the belief system you have. Okay? So that's the ego. Now, does the ego have to die? No, it doesn't. And if you concentrate on just the death of the ego, you get what you concentrate on. I mean, you get a very confusing, it's negative, it's dark. And if that's all you're concentrating on, then it's going to be a hard road. But if you concentrate on the new awarenesses and the growth and the evolution of starting to hear that loving voice, that pure, untainted, that encouraging voice, that voice that urges you that you're going to be fine no matter what you do, urges you to try new experiences, urges you to see a higher perspective in any situation, helps you to see the love everywhere, and protects you. If you go that route, does the ego die? No, the ego does not die. What it does do is it gets smaller because you've already started stepping out of that belief system. And as you get to the point in your evolution where you start questioning your belief system, which starts right away, really. Your belief system, your relationship with who you are, your ideologies, all those things come into play as you start to evolve. But they come at a time where when you're questioning who you are, it's not like it is a identity crisis. It's questioning the labels that were put on you. It's questioning what you were told you had to be, or what you thought was legit in what you had to be. Or did you have to be anything at all? You had to let go of these preconceived notions that the old beliefs had, that the ego is protecting, to be able to step into being guided by your soul. Hearing things that open you to your soul manifesto, your purpose, your whole reason for being here. You know? And it has to go through a transformation. So the ego will always be present. And the funny thing is, when you're going through that evolution, you got to remember that ego is part of you. It is part of your psyche. So it's not going to die. In fact, it can be very sneaky, and it can look like it's agreeing with you. And then wham. So you just become aware, and by that time you just say, oh, that is not the voice I want guiding me. That is not what I need. I don't need that judgment. I don't need to feel that judgment. And you can easily start to dismiss it because you are focusing on another area and growing. And I'll tell you, in that, you are living every day in a happiness. You're living every day with new discoveries. And you're not afraid to step out anymore. You're not limited by what people thought you should be or who they labeled you as. In fact, you even learned that those labels were probably some of your wonderful gifts that people wanted to tame. That's what I found anyway. So yes, the ego is always there. It's just that we are not hearing it so loudly anymore. Okay? So I hope that answered your question. And if you are in a place where you're starting to learn and having a little bit of trouble with that ego versus that wonderful inner voice, how do I distinguish it? How do I know? Then, oh my gosh, that's what I do. That's what I do. That I help people to connect to that wonderful place. So if you're interested, or if you just have a question about this, either way, guys, feel free. Go to soulmanifesto.com, and on the contact page, just send in your question. Or say, Alena, hey, you know what? I'm interested in learning more on how I can do this. Or, Alena, I thought that was really interesting. I have a question, and ask your question. And I'll be happy. Well, how do you think I got this question? So, yeah, go to soulmanifesto.com. And also check out stuff on the website. We got some pretty cool things. We even have some jewelry that you might like that is, of course, spiritual and very beautiful. So check it out. Have a good time. And also we have the Inevitable You, which is a wonderful, miraculous, inevitable you that you should look into because it helps you to just open like a flower, that beautiful part of yourself, that creative, powerful, in control, but yet not dominated part of you. Yeah? Yeah. Anyway, guys, remember, spirit is love. And love is not forceful. Love is not dominating. Love does not put us down. It doesn't attack us. It doesn't defend. And it doesn't judge. And love does not say we have to be anything. And the more we grow and are guided by the love inside of us, that's when we are with spirit. Totally and absolutely. Have a wonderful week in this new discovery. And as always, namaste. I love you all. Bye-bye now. Thanks for watching. Don't miss out on a single thing. Subscribe below. And here's something else I think you'll enjoy. Namaste.